which is part of the story, I guess, in terms of being like incredibly busy at the moment, as everyone is. I've just come from Newbridge Project, the arts agency based here in Newcastle, Gateshead, and Newbridge Books. And we have there tonight launched this book by a guy called Mike Mowat, who is a 70-year-old Gateshead resident who was a boiler fitter all his life, and he left school when he was 14 and went into work in he was a butcher's boy, worked in a butcher's shop, like sweeping up. Had no real formal education after the age of 14, but he got involved in a project that Newbridge ran about 2 years ago now. It was a 9-month project called Deep Adaptation, looking about how we need to sort of respond to the climate and ecological emergencies and what role arts could play in that. And we had we had 6 rapport. I was one of the commissioned artists, so I was on the programming committee as well, just because I sort of had some background in climate change to sort of help sort of shape the programme. Mike, more important, was one of the more important people. He was one of 6 rapporteurs who we had on the project, who went to all of the different art events and activities that this programme ran to make sure they weren't too wanky, basically, so that it wasn't just arts people talking to other arts people. And actually, Newbridge Project is embedded in Gateshead, and actually, you know, like for arts around these issues to be important and meaningful, it needs to speak to other people. That's part of the reason why Mike's book came about. So Mike got involved in the project. As he got really involved in it, this guy Mike, it was wonderful tonight at his book launch, because all his family was there. His 4 kids, the in-laws, their grandkids, all there, incredibly proud of him. You know, this 70-year-old boiler fitter who has, when he retired when he was 65, suddenly discovered that he had an opportunity to decide what he wanted to do for a change at the age of 65. All his kids had grown up, his grandkids were fine, and he went, you know what, I've always wanted to write. So he started writing poems, he started writing songs, he plays the guitar now. And it turned out, as we had these conversations as this project carried on, that he'd also written this science fiction novel. And he wanted us to read it. He's a very sort of charismatic guy, and he sort of, you know, wanted us to tell him what we thought about his book. And we did. And so the point of the whole project that I was involved with at that time was all about ensuring that as we respond to climate change, ecological emergency, it isn't the same old voices who get heard. It's really, really important, actually, that we hear from diverse voices. That isn't just white. Sorry, I know I'm a white middle class man. I'm standing up here saying we need to make sure that it's not just white middle class men that we hear from. In a way, I've spent the last 5 or 10 years like using my privilege as a white middle class man to try and take a back step and provide opportunities and platforms for other people to sort of like take that space and speak. Anyway, so. I'm an author, so this was my first book in 2016 called A Pig in Thin Air, which is sort of like a vegan animal memoir that brings together sort of the relationship between animal rights and or animal agriculture and climate change. And then just a few months ago, this book came out. It's my first novel, The Chernobyl Privileges, perfectly timed with HBO's Chernobyl series, as I'm sure you'll all be aware. If we turned the light off, you would see it, it glows in the dark. So I'm an author, and so when we were looking to think about how we could publish Mike's book, because I was one of the people involved, I said, yeah, I'll get involved, I'll help edit it, I'll help produce it, we'll get it out the door. We didn't have a huge amount of resources, so it's like I said, yeah, I really want to make sure that happens. I will sort of edit, typeset, design the book and get it out. So, on the fuck up note, yeah, these are the 2 books, and I'm sure even from your point of view, yeah, you can see the difference, right? So this is the book that we launched tonight with like 11-point Adobe Caslon and decent margins. Yeah. And this is the book that I first designed about 2 months ago. Not being a book designer, and thinking that Adobe Caslon 9-point would be similar to Times New Roman 9-point, yeah? And sending it off, not getting a hard copy proof, but just looking at it on PDF online, and this thing turning up and going, and Rebecca Huggin, the director of Newbridge Project, going, "Oh, it looks really good, but the type's a bit teeny tiny." And we realised that we couldn't just send this one out. And so I then spent the next couple of months, well, next month or so, sort of like redoing it, learning how to do it properly, and putting the book out. And I guess you know, there are many learning points about this. It's in, like, just get professionals to do things. don't think that just because you're a writer, you know, just because you've done X, you can do Y that's associated with X. You know, it's a completely different thing. But and I don't know about you lot, and it's really interesting. I'm not too sure he's still here actually, but the first speaker, was it Justin? Yeah, he referenced a book called by Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps Score, which is like an incredible book, and actually which is sort of quite a lot of the basis of this book, actually. So and you actually, sorry, you expected me to say this, but so I forgot your name. Dave. Oh, was that the Dave you were waiting for?
Yeah.
That's the Dave you were waiting for. So half a dozen people in the last like 2 months have called me Dave. Right. I'm not called Dave. Just Alex, that's all you need to know. Right? So when I came in, I was like, "Oh, you know, everyone's called me Dave." It's like, well, quite similar. Anyway, Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps Score, very influential on like my book in terms of sort of like how you come to sort of learn about who you are, how you get to, you know, pass through your own traumatic experiences, etc., etc. But one of the wonderful things about when you're learning from that book is essentially, as you become more experienced about learning sort of like the you know, the ways and means of your own body and your own experience, is you get to understand your motivations for doing things. And I, like, part of the fuck up of producing Mike's book badly the first time round was that I think the motivation for doing it was that I was going to get money for doing it, rather than doing it for the right reasons, which would be, yeah, well. The interesting thing about motivations is they always tend to overlap, don't they? You know, like, you're going to get a bit of money for it, but it's the right thing to do, but you're going to get a bit of money for it, you know, so I sort of did it. However, being a nice person, the money I got for producing that, I then spent plus another 100 of my own money in printing that. So I'm down at least 100 quid plus all of the 2 weeks' money that I should have got from doing like my own freelance, you know. So it was quite a sort of learning experience, and it's a learning experience I seem to learn all the time. And I've never got to learn the lesson that you need to do things for the right reason. So even though these two books are my first published book, second published book, they're not the first books I've written. You know, I wrote, my first book I wrote was when I was 15, and I typed it up on my Continental Silencer typewriter when I learned how to type. My stepfather was a typewriter repairman back in the days when that was such a thing. He also repaired photocopy machines, maybe he's still doing it. And I learned to typed up a novel when I was 15. My teachers at school sort of read it and went, "Oh, this is a really nice thing." No, I never saw it again. One of them's clearly made loads of money off the back of it. I also did my PhD in creative writing at Newcastle University, and I teach journalism and creative writing now at Sunderland University. But again, this lesson about your learning, why are you motivated? Why are you motivated to do the things you do? And is it the right motivation? Is it the wrong motivation? Most of the right motivations end up in things that you're proud of. Most of the wrong motivations end up in fuck ups. Not always. That's just some of my experience of that. You know, my PhD novel ended up being like a dead book in the bottom of the drawer, which most writers have, and that's absolutely fine, because actually that's where most books end up, your first or second drafts of books. But I spent 5 years on this PhD producing this book getting to the end of it, only to realise that I'd done this PhD and written this book for completely the wrong reasons. Not, I'd done it because I wanted to be a published author. I wanted the credibility. I wanted to be a big dick in the news, in the publishing world. Completely the wrong reasons. You do a creative act for the creativity. You don't do it for the audience. You don't. Those are the wrong reasons to do it for. And I keep having to learn this lesson as I go along. And I think I've finally got there, hopefully. But one of the things that makes me think of is about sort of the reasons why we end up doing the right thing or the wrong thing, the thing that actually ends up being the thing that we're proud of, or the thing that ends up fucking up, is about this issue of motivation and sort of what motivates us. So the more we can make that conscious and visible, even like with post-it notes around your home, in terms of, okay, do you know why you're doing the thing you've just done? Do you know why you're doing the thing you've just agreed to? Is really, really important. And for me, that's a number of reasons. Like the purest reason for doing something, I guess, is that creative process. I want to learn how to be good at something. Yeah. The impure route is I want to be important. I want to get money for it. I want to sort of like have some sort of influence. And again, coming back to my earlier point, they overlap. It's not a bad thing to want to be influential in the world, and it's not a bad thing to sort of want to be able to pay your bills. But there's a big difference between a writing life and a writing career. There's a big difference between like a creative life and the career, the professional career that you build around it. And I read a really interesting piece recently about like protecting that inner life that produces the work, that is the really you, to the work that goes around it that you have to do out in the world to sell it, and and stepping out into those places. And just to finish off, like I've just this minute like received an email that has again made me think, Jesus, I haven't fucking learned this lesson, have I? Because for the last month or so, I've been working with a group called Animal Rebellion, which is like in a way the aligned animal activist arm of Extinction Rebellion. There's going to be a massive action in October, whether you agree or not with it, we can have that conversation. But Extinction Rebellion are producing this organising this new mass action in October. I've been involved with the animal rights arm of that in terms of taking to the streets, mass non-violent civil disobedience to get the government to listen to us, people of this country, in terms of climate change. And I've been involved because I teach journalism. I'm a writer. I've done freelance journalism. This is non-fiction. I've done that kind of work. I took on the role of being the media manager for this Animal Rebellion sort of group. And 4 weeks into it, 5 weeks into it, 6 weeks into it, I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ, this is such a stress. I just want to be in my room writing my next book. I don't want to be doing this work, even though this work is really important. And here we are, 6 weeks later, I'm thinking, why have I taken on this role? It's not even what I want to do. Well, it's important, but it's not what I can be excellent at. It's not what I can be creative at. It's not what I really, really want to do. Again, it overlaps, and that's always, it's always important. And I just got an email saying, so I've spent the last 6 weeks telling everyone, look guys, I can't do this, I'm too big, I've got other commitments, I've got my working job, I've got my cat to look after, she's like really dependent on me. And then I just get an email saying, oh Alex, we found someone else to do your job. I'm like, fuck you! That's my job, I've spent 6 weeks like putting everything into it. And like, all of a sudden you're taking it away from me. I'm like, why would you do that? Because you told us to take it away from you. And I'm like, yeah, I did, but I didn't want to do it. So I'm clearly still confused about the reasons for doing it. And I think that it's a lifelong problem. I don't know if you suffer from it. It's a lifelong problem. The difficult things are never choices between the good and the bad. The difficult choices are always between the good and the good. Because you're out there, you're really passionate about stuff, and you want to do things, and you have opportunities that come to you. Like, you want to have influence, you want to, earn money, you want to sort of like produce your best work. How do you choose between the good and the good? And that's really sort of where the big fuck ups come. It's actually, do you say yes? Is yes the fuck up, or is no the fuck up? And the most important lesson that I've learned, coming back to that issue of like the body keeps a score, it's only your body that tells you if it's yes is the fuck up or no is the fuck up. And you have to give your body time. You have to take deep breaths. You have to give it that period of sort of like sensing, letting it filter through your body to be able to get to a point of understanding, yeah, actually if I say yes, that's the right thing to do. If I say no, that's the right thing to do. And I really wish I'd done that with like choosing Adobe Caslon as a font, because it's cost me about 800 quid. But I didn't. However, the successful thing happened in that we actually sort of went back, published it, and it's out tonight. And actually that guy's had like the night of his life tonight, so that was worth it. So thank you very much.
I will shall leave the best to the last, because that's professional. So thank you very much, Alex, because again, I think the first one to do it off the cuff without a presentation.
Right.
This is you're not little Steve. No, you're big Steve.
Oh. No, he's the real Steve.
Oh, I'm just Steve. Okay. So hello.
Hi.
I haven't got a script because I'm actually the fill-in act. I don't know why I'm on last like a headliner, because I was the one who more cried.
Because you like to talk.
2 days ago said, oh, could you quickly come and do this because people have dropped out. So I quickly put this together. I was looking at it before and thinking, what do all these slides mean again? So I'm going to work my way through it. As you can see, lots of people in the room